Were shocked by what more Accuser let slip on TV. ABC didn't want you to hear this by Robert. Rich Cops and Criminals Politics for MadWorldNews.com. Beverly Young Nelson has been on the front lines in the attack on Roy Moore, as she reportedly had proof of her connection with him through a yearbook from many years ago. Unfortunately for her, things just blew up in her face after what she let slip while taking part in a televised interview. And ABC made it immediately clear that they did not want you to hear this. Mad World News has reported extensively on Nelson after she came forward with the infamously parasitic lawyer Gloria Allred to accuse U.S. Senate candidate Roy Moore of sexual assault, which Nelson alleges happened over 40 years ago. Of course, seeing how there is no proof, the only thing she has been able to do is to demonstrate that the two had personally met at some point. In order to do this, she brought forward evidence of their connection by saying that she and Moore were so close that he even signed her yearbook. Too bad for her, things almost immediately blew up in her face, as there were several discrepancies that just didn't add up. For one, the handwriting throughout the note didn't match, appearing as if it was written by two different people. On top of that, Moore's signature didn't look like his, and even included a title of DA, even though he wasn't a district attorney until several years after the yearbook was allegedly signed. As if that wasn't enough to have the public scratching their heads, another image caught the writing at just the right angle to show cameras that it was written in two different ink colors. In the end, Roy Moore's signature was written with a different pen than the original note. Just like that, extreme skepticism surfaced, even prompting liberal networks to question Allred about the authenticity, a notion she wouldn't directly confirm. However, things just got exceptionally worse for Nelson when she appeared in a televised interview with ABC. Amid the questioning, it seems that Nelson actually admitted to forging the yearbook signature that she had been passing off as evidence against Roy Moore. Even worse yet, the ABC host quickly tried to divert attention from the mishap after it aired by pointing out how evil Moore is. Let's take a quick listen.
Sickens me. It sickens me to wonder what may go on with him if he gets into office, maybe, you know. He could be doing this still. We don't know. And then again, I hope that he's changed.
This morning, Beverly Young Nelson sitting down exclusively with GMA. She was 16 when she says Moore groped her and tried to force a sex act on her in his car.
He was trying to pull me toward in between his legs. It was terrible. And I was bound and determined that I was not going to be raped by him. You know, I was terrified. But the next thing I know, I'm on the concrete.
These allegations are completely false. They're malicious. Specifically, I do not know any of these women, nor have I ever engaged in sexual misconduct with any woman.
Moore's supporters have called Nelson a liar, even compared her to a criminal since she first spoke out about 3 weeks ago.
That really hurt me, you know. God knows, and Roy knows, and I know what happened.
Young's proof that she knew Moore? Her yearbook with this inscription. But Moore and his supporters have called into question that inscription, noting the writing under the signature appears to be different.
Let's look at Beverly Nelson. Everybody knows her yearbook is a forgery.
Nelson says she did make notes to the inscription, but the message was all Roy Moore.
Beverly, he signed your yearbook.
He did sign it.
And you made some notes underneath.
Yes.
Nelson says this is not about politics. She voted for Donald Trump, but can't understand the decision some Republicans are making.
What do you think about the Republicans that say they believe people like you, but they'd rather have a Republican in that seat than a Democrat?
Is the party more important, really, than what happened? I feel like my incident is being just swept under the rug, literally, because he's a Republican.
Now, Nelson's lawyer, Gloria Allred, says she's going to host a news conference later today to show further proof that Moore indeed knew his client. Roy Moore, for his part, has denied all accusations of sexual misconduct. Robin?
And Tom, as you know, a quote from Moore is getting a lot of attention on social media for the way he responded when asked when was the last time America was great.
That's right. The quote comes from an LA Times news story, and it was during a campaign event back in September. Now, Moore was reportedly asked when the last time he thought America was great, and he said this quote. We can put it up there on the screen. According to the LA Times, he said, "I think it was great at the time when families were united. Even though we had slavery, they cared for one another. Our families were strong. Our country had a direction." So last night I asked the campaign, why did he invoke slavery? Why was he talking about slavery when he said the last time America was great? The campaign tells me he was talking about the time right after the American Revolution when families were united and the country had a direction. He, of course, opposes slavery. Robin?
Okay. Nelson admits she did make some notes to the inscription. ABC News reported before adding, but the message was all Roy Moore. Beverly, he signed your notebook, ABC News reporter Tom Liam said, to which she replied, he did sign it. Lamas, or whatever his name is, then added, and you made some notes underneath, to which Nelson admits yes, as reported by Breitbart. With all the skepticism surrounding the inscription in the yearbook, it certainly seems that Nelson and the liberal media are scrambling to explain away the discrepancies. What's more, it all sounds like ABC News fed Nelson the storyline to go along with the narrative they wanted to present. Even worse yet, those running the show continued moving on as if it wasn't any real news or worth the follow-up question like, why did it take you so long to clarify, or why did you lie? In the end, they merely wanted viewers to focus on a comment Moore recently made about slavery that they would take out of context, which they did, in order to bash him. Too bad for Nelson. This new little tidbit about the yearbook signature brings into questioning everything else she's claiming. Things aren't looking good for Moore's accusers as Nelson is single-handedly discrediting them all. With all this taken into consideration, along with the fact that Moore once ruled against her in a divorce case back in 1992, and you can start to see the real picture here, that this is nothing more than a personal vendetta, likely funded by desperate Democrats. Now there's a surprise, right? The left is more desperate than they've ever been as the GOP has control of the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Wanting to gain more control, it seems that they're now willing to do anything it takes to get a few more seats, even if that means lying and destroying a man's life, career, and reputation. They've done worse than that, so let's just hope that this is enough to prove Nelson lied all along. Heck, I'd be even better if they filed official charges against her, or if Moore sued for slander. At this point, she deserves to pay for the damage she's caused. Yeah, actually, yes. He could sue her for slander on that. Let me know. And you notice the media is all for her and bashing again more. You know, I mean, it's just so obvious. It's just so obvious. These are paid shills, the media and all of them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.